On the field, off the field, sports talk, entertainment, and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 152 of the Sauce on the Side podcast. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, the producer, Mr. Leighton Pip Shadowtone.
2020 been a crazy year for the world, but the NFL crazy season started in 2019. Andrew Luck retired, Antonio Brown out of the NFL, Tom Brady the Buccaneer, Gronk's out of time and also a Buccaneer, Lamar Jackson the MVP, Philip Rivers on the Colts, Joe Burrow top pick in the draft, Teddy Bridgewater is in Carolina, Cam Newton the Patriot.
That's actually really crazy.
It's a wild ride right now.
Could you imagine if you'd gotten a parlay on all those things actually being able to come to fruition? Because honestly, I would say every single one of those things probably had a 5% chance to happen or less, and every single one of them has.
And the kick for all this, Colin Kaepernick arguably had better than Cam Newton did until last night.
No, that's absolutely the truth. Yeah, the kicker for all of it. So basically, in the last 24 hours, Cam Newton has been signed. He is a New England Patriot, and we will have to discuss. So obviously, throughout this quarantine adventure, we have been running a three-man show. Me, Lacey, and Mr. Shackelford. Mr. Shackelford is not here. I'm convinced he has coronavirus.
You know what? Joey had a sore throat, and I don't know about how he's smelling right now, but it's possible.
Yeah, we're going to actually have to call in to Mr. Shackelford. So if there was ever a time for Mr. Shackelford to fall ill, it would be this week because obviously, you know what? I think this is an inside job by Mr. Shackelford. I think he looked at it as if I'm going to get exposed to this virus, I think right now is my best opportunity. He was sick last night, so he purposely got himself sick. I'm convinced, got himself sick. That way, in 2 weeks, he'll be out of quarantine. What will he be able to do? Watch Fight Island make its debut.
That's true. I bet last Tuesday he went and got it.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he'd be out on Monday. He couldn't do it Monday. He's a good guy. It wouldn't affect us. So Tuesday he went out, got the ball on purpose. Okay. 6 days from now, I'll do that damn podcast. And let's talk about.
Yep.
He's going to be sick.
Yep. He's like, I don't want to sit in there and talk about Colin Cowherd talking about who has the best arm talent in the NFL. He goes, I would rather just wait a week, get it over with, get healed. That way, Mr. Shackelford is firing on all cylinders. Come Fight Island's debut.
It's not a question that he just intentionally injected antibodies back into his veins.
No, I'm on to him.
He knew, this. I gotta get in my body sometime. This is what I'm gonna do it.
Yep, strike while the iron's hot. You know, all he's gonna miss out on is 4th of July. He doesn't care. Real patriot. He'll sit at home, sit through the virus, so he can give us winning picks next weekend. So obviously, without Mr. Shackelford, there will be no picks today, but we will call him to do a wellness check and see what he thought about his picks last week. We do have to talk about Cam being a Patriot. We're going to kind of bounce around some ideas here. Obviously, there are two more free agents that are also very high level, very big names, household names, Colin Kaepernick, Antonio Brown. They're starting to get some tread on finding an NFL team. We will find the perfect landing spot for those guys. Talk about the NBA's return. A lot of the players had to report and say whether or not they were going to be participating in the NBA's comeback and go throughout this process. There's quite a few players on teams that actually have a chance to win a championship that will be missing the NBA's return, and we will dive in to Colin Cowherd's most catchable ball list. If there's one thing that basically points to me and says, hey, we ran out of stuff to talk about, we have officially reached it with Colin Cowherd's list of most catchable passes in the NFL. All right, so, let's see. Let's start off hot. Cam Newton is officially a Patriot. I got the news yesterday. Immediately got online to bet them to win the Super Bowl. They've completely taken down all the Patriots' odds until they've been reevaluated. Still, I have not seen the odds yet come back.
You know what? This wasn't. This really blew up into all the Patriots because all Cam Newton saying there, they had no cap space at all. And I don't know how their cap really works, but somehow they get a 6% cap next year. So they signed Cam to a 1 year, $1.05 million, not $1.5 million contract. And if he books out, they can sign a long-term deal, all that cap money, or they just say Cam, thanks for coming in.
Yes, this kind of runs us back into those situations where we're like, hey, how in the world did the Patriots sign this guy to this deal? Like, almost every single offseason, we see guys who are we're like, man, they took a lot less to go to the Patriots. Why did they do that? And ultimately, every single time it comes out, it's like, well, nobody else was really wanting that player. Boom, Patriots make it look great. You've seen it time and time again with guys like Kyle Van Noy, even Chris Long at the end of his career. They get these guys these short-term deals, basically squeeze the fruit for the remaining juice that they have, and then they look like geniuses every single offseason. So I think this is another one of those spots where we are looking at the Patriots and we're like, are they really that smart, or is the rest of the NFL just really that dumb? Because for $1.1 million, $1 single million, you could have had Cam Newton in your quarterback room, either A, pushing your starter, or B, giving you a very, very solid backup. This is like fourth string quarterback money.
You're paying Cam what you would pay 2 7th-round draft picks. Good name on $550,000.
Yes, so you're paying Cam for the price of having two guys who aren't even going to see the field in a season. It is honestly the best move the Patriots could have done. Here's where we sit again and talk about how the Patriots finessed the whole entire NFL. Really, I think the NFL just finessed themselves, gave the Patriots a legitimate starting quarterback, and here we are looking at another deep Patriots run. Does the addition of Cam Newton make you believe that the Patriots are yet again the favorite in the AFC West or AFC East?
It's going to have healthy Cam. He can't have shoulder injury. He doesn't have a foot injury. He's a mobile quarterback. Not going to have a hip shoulder. Not going to have a hip foot. So if he's healthy, then yes. I thought they would probably Ryan Paul with the Bills because really how much better is Josh Allen in Buffalo. This team could be in the system of the Patriots. So like 8-18, both of them kind of drawing that line there. But this I think pushed them as a hair above the Bills. Like if the Bills were hair above the Patriots, they're back above hair above the Bills.
Yeah, I think this is a great move. And I'm going to actually. So back in 2017, this was just, I guess, 3 seasons ago when we were looking back at it. Cam Newton went 11-5 as a starter with Devin Funchess as his best wide receiver, and he was the leading rusher on the team over Jonathan Stewart and Christian McCaffrey. That's absolutely crazy to think about whenever we talk about Cam Newton. Everybody's like, well, we haven't seen good football from him in such a long time. Is this move really worth the gamble of giving him that money? 3 years ago. That was back whenever, wasn't it Nick Foles, who's still getting starter money, who's getting like $20 million a year, the year he won the championship. So, whenever you think back on it, like, if you think Nick Foles is not washed up and you think Cam Newton is, those two things really don't add up because we saw them play great football just a few seasons ago. Then you fast forward to 2018, prior to Cam's shoulder injury when that bug hit. This was 8 games into the season, so half an NFL season. He was on pace for 4,200 all-purpose yards, 38 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That is high-level quarterback play. So that is just a season and a half ago whenever we're looking back at it. So honestly, I think that there is a lot of good Cam Newton there left, especially how things ended with the Panthers, where he basically just got put on the shelf. And they kept keeping him on the shelf, kind of put a chip back on his shoulder, gave him time to recover. And I can't speak for the health of Cam Newton, but if I had to take a guess whether he's going to be, old Cam Newton, a different version of Cam Newton, or a washed-up version of Cam Newton, I think we're going to get a high-level quarterback this year. And honestly, for fantasy football purposes, I think Cam Newton's going to be a top 10 quarterback this season.
Yeah, I like it. I like Cam Newton. I'm a big Cam Newton fan. When he's playing, that's the best to watch ever. Because the field was just his playground. It was so much fun to watch, and I hope we get back to that level. And I'm looking right now at the Patriots cap hit goal next year. They have, do math real quick, like $80 million in after left over for next year.
Oh, yeah.
And they have Cam Newton's average market value next season at $15 million.
I think it's going to be higher than that.
So if they give that or less and still have $70 million to play with, the Patriots can once again just be great for another 4 or 5 years because they can get in all the players and look at the needs, put that defense. Because look at the list, they're only paying defensive players, linemen, and Jordan Edelman.
That's really it. I mean, if you look at their roster top to bottom, they basically just keep guys on the rookie deals, and then once they hit that value, they go elsewhere, or they get these free agents at a minimum. And honestly, if you would rewind back all the way to 2015, whenever Cam Newton was the NFL MVP, best quarterback in the league, and it wasn't even close, if you would have told somebody then, hey, in the year 2020, Cam Newton is going to be a New England Patriot and Bill Belichick will be the head coach still, you would basically just be saying, okay, well, this dynasty is going to go on for another even 10 years after Tom Brady's retirement. Obviously, we don't think now, looking back, that Cam Newton is going to make it to a 40-year-old quarterback, but even if they can prolong that for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I think that's really plausible at that point. Get Cam to the mid-30s, and I think this is going to be, it's going to go down as one of the oddest signings in NFL history whenever we're looking back at this, because I think he's going to walk right in day one, have tremendous success, be the quarterback there, fall into the Patriot way, and he's going to keep this thing alive going for, I project him to be there for another good 4 years.
And Bill Belichick, another thing he did with this move, we know how in interviews he's really good at answering questions. Patriots got penalized yesterday.
Yes.
On the third-round draft pick and $1.1 million fine. Bush said, crap, I don't know about this anymore. Freaking Cam.
No,
change the whole narrative. Like, that's not even front page news anymore. That's freaking back page.
No, I got those updates within an hour apart from each other. I got the update that they were getting penalized, and then within an hour, it's like, this isn't even a storyline. They got Cam Newton, and even if all you're doing is doing this as a stunt, just to bring him into the room, hey, that $1 million is well spent if you're not going to be talking about all the Patriots violations for the next month. Because, hey, the next month of sports, they don't have anything to talk about. You know that would have got hammered. Instead, we're going to sit here and talk about Cam Newton for the next month, how he's going to look in the Patriot uniform, how he's going to look in that system. And honestly, I am as excited as anybody could for Josh McDaniels to get a quarterback that's completely different than what he had had success with prior. We're talking about Josh McDaniels who won a playoff game with Tim Tebow. Even if Cam Newton comes back and he plays just like Tim Tebow, which is, hey, I can't really throw the ball, but I can run it here and there, this team is at least a playoff team if Cam Newton can fill that void, which Josh McDaniels had done so with Tim Tebow. So I project good things. If you had to take a guess on A, what you think the Patriots win total is going to be now with Cam Newton, and B, where you think Cam Newton is going to be in the range of fantasy quarterbacks, what would be your two guesses here?
Okay, so for the record, Patriots 10-12 wins.
I think that's safe. I think 11 is like, I think that's going to be very.
I still think, I don't know the schedule, but I think they have a hard time keeping up with the good offense. Like the Chiefs can score anybody, teams like that. Can't they keep up with that? So that's why I'm giving them like 10-12 wins there. And for fantasy perspective, top 10.
Do you think it'll be top 10 quarterback?
I think he could be, but I'm just not going to down him like he is.
Well, nobody is, but I think this is going to be like tremendous value that you could sit back and wait on a quarterback and get Cam Newton, who I honestly think Cam's going to be probably between that 7 to 10 range.
Yeah, and in my fantasy opinion, the way I would do it is outside of like 5 guys, 6 guys maybe, just stream somebody. Could you have like Mahomes, Watson, Jackson, Lester Wilson, those guys every week? But Cam is a guy you can sit back and take Cam Newton and then take Gardner Minshew or Ryan Tannehill or something like that.
No, just basically just to play it week by week. And I think Cam Newton's actually going to be very good when it comes to fantasy purposes this year. And think about this. This is also another big thing here. Tom Brady's been the best quarterback at the quarterback sneak for how many years now? Probably the entirety of his career.
Since my entire sports watching life.
So you had a 40-year-old quarterback that was still doing quarterback sneaks, very successful behind that offensive line. I think that Cam Newton's touchdown numbers, and we've seen Sony Michel try to run the ball at the goal line. Absolutely horrible. I think we're going to see Cam Newton flirt with breaking his all-time, his career best rushing touchdowns. Just because the Patriots, they're going to be an offense, they're not going to be a big play offense, they're just going to be a methodical, move the ball down the field once they get within that 5-yard line. I truly believe Cam Newton will set a personal best for rushing touchdowns this year. If that would be one bold prediction from Cam Newton that I'm going to give, I think that's just about as safe as anything, seeing the success that a slow Tom Brady had running from the 1-yard line in. So that's something to honestly factor into your opinion whenever you're thinking about Cam Newton this year. So two other players here. We really haven't talked about it much. But Antonio Brown seems to be on his best behavior, seems to be trending in the right direction. A lot of teams are actually starting to pick up a little bit of tread. We're talking about bringing Antonio Brown to the building. And then another player, obviously, Colin Kaepernick, who should have been signed, the last 3 seasons. He's another player in this whole thing. So first up, we'll go ahead and hit the Colin Kaepernick thing. I know that we've seen a lot of reports, but we haven't seen any teams. We've seen, hey, there are a number of teams listed that are interested in Colin Kaepernick. Nobody's came out and actually put their name out there to be associated with Colin Kaepernick. So what teams do you see that could really use Colin Kaepernick and maybe bring him into the building this year?
I did think he'll get a job. I think he'll one of these 2 teams, the Chargers or the Raiders. Because they picked my quarterback, how about the Chargers last week, Justin Herbert, rookie, and Tyler Taylor, they both get one guys, right?
Those are 1 guys. I actually have our list right here. So.
And Derek Carr, what was he?
I think Derek Carr might have been 2. Let me pop it back up here. He seemed to get 2.
Yeah, so 2 guys who, 2 teams both have iffy quarterback position. Kaepernick is the one man. I haven't played in so long. But he just went to the one that Tyler Taylor is. He could be a 2 like Derek Carr. We don't know. We haven't seen in so long. I think those 2 spots fit very well. And then the Texans. Texans. Very similar to Sean Watson.
Yes.
In play style.
Yes.
Bring him as a backup. Will Brian want to get into that? I don't know. He said he would kneel. So maybe just bring it full circle. Can you hear about that?
No, but Bill O'Brien just surprises me as a guy who would be vocal about stuff.
Yeah, he did say he would kneel at the players' knelt.
Wow.
So another guy who apparently likes what Kaepernick did now. Everything of it.
Yeah, I think that one situation I think that makes absolutely the most sense. A guy who's a big-time players coach, and they need a backup quarterback. 2 spots. You have Pete Carroll up in Seattle, and then you also have a team that I thought should have brought Cam Newton in before he signed to the Patriots, and that's the Steelers. Both those teams, if your starting quarterback goes down, you're basically just dusting away a chance at a championship if your quarterback goes down. So I think that both the Steelers and the Seahawks have the right coaching staff in place to bring that in and make that thing work. And, realistically, if you look at it, you brought up a good point with Tyrod Taylor. He's very similar to the play style of Tyrod Taylor, but the last time that we saw Tyrod Taylor or Colin Kaepernick play, you would obviously prefer Colin Kaepernick over Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod Taylor, yes, he's been in the league, but he really hasn't played in the last 2 seasons. So him and Colin Kaepernick both really haven't played. Bring him in, and you can run a very similar style offense to what you were going to run with Tyrod Taylor. Another interesting one, I think, would be the Ravens. A lot of people are saying, but they have RG3 and Trace McSorley. I really don't think that either one of those guys are even close to Lamar Jackson. And the closest thing that I've seen to Lamar Jackson in the last 10 years would have to be Colin Kaepernick. So I think that there's a lot of good fitting places. I think that if I had to choose one spot for him to go, I think that the Chargers would make a ton of sense. And then also, I really like the Steelers, and I like Seattle to kind of make things work with him playing the backup role. And ultimately, if their starter went down, he would be able to fill right in there. But obviously, we haven't seen any teams yet, so that's to be judged later. Next up, we have Antonio Brown. So Antonio Brown, there's actually been teams linked to Antonio Brown. I've seen 3. I've seen the Ravens, I've seen the Seahawks, and I've also seen the Chicago Bears as a possibility. There's a 4th team there. I want to say it might have been the Colts, but I can't say for certain. But Antonio Brown, where do you think the best fit for him to go would be?
There's another one that I think last time. That's the Texans again. There is Donald Hopkins. Sean Watson is pissed out, vocally upset about this. Like, and they have to re-sign him through the season because it's Sean Watson. You can't just let Sean Watson walk out the door and get him back.
Right.
And how much money is Antonio Brown really looking for? How much are you going to get? I'm going to take the telecast right now, trying to pull it up. Can they afford him? If I'm Texans, I can't afford him. I don't care what guy I got to cut, what my linebacker is. I cut him. I got to make Sean Watson happy before anything else.
Yeah, number one goal for the Texans has to be to keep Deshaun Watson happy. And getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins is obviously not the way to do that. I think the Texans would actually be a really good fit. And if you look at what, with Seattle throwing their name into this mix, I think Antonio Brown would be a great fit there. You already have your number one receiver with Tyler Lockett, and then you have a guy with DK Metcalf who can just basically take the top off of an offense. I think if you brought Antonio Brown in, he's going to become your number one guy immediately, anywhere he goes, with the exception of him going and playing inside Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, or Julio Jones. Antonio Brown's going to be your number one guy. I think that would fit well, and honestly, that receiving core would mimic a lot of what you had back whenever Antonio Brown was at his best with the Steelers. You have a quarterback who can get the ball downfield. You have a guy in Tyler Lockett who is more like that Juju Smith-Schuster where he's going to be able to catch the ball, find himself into space. Whenever Tyler Lockett was actually coming out of the draft, I thought he mimicked Antonio Brown a lot. So now you have two versions of Tyler Lockett outlined, and then you have DK Metcalf just running straight line routes all day, and it takes a little bit off of him to where, hey, I don't necessarily have to get great at the whole entire route tree. I just got to get good at 3 routes. And if I'm good at those 3 routes, we're going to have 3 guys that are receiving for over 800 yards. So I think that would be a good fit. I even think, in an outside shot here, I don't think it could ever happen again. But if there's a coach and a quarterback that could make the men's work, I think Antonio Brown going back to the Steelers would be very interesting. Especially now that we have Big Ben coming out and saying how maybe not great of a guy he had been over the last few years. He's talking about his addictions, talking about trying to be a better person. I honestly, if I had to pick one place, I would put him right back with the Steelers just to see. We've seen Mike Tomlin juggle circus after circus after circus. I think if there's one guy in the NFL that would be equipped to take on Antonio Brown and make this thing work again, it would be his original spot with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. I don't know how it would definitely work there, but would the dynamic work again? And that's what I don't see it happening. They have a very shot.
If there's ever a time to do it, it would be whenever Big Ben is at his most vulnerable moment. And I feel like Big Ben, for the first time in a long time, is in a very vulnerable spot. And I think that would be something that would be very good. Now, with the Ravens, that would make just a ton of sense. Like, you really don't have a wide receiver on the roster that anybody's scared of. Antonio Brown would obviously jump right in there. And if you wanted to make the play the game of him being mad at the Steelers, that just plays perfect into that narrative.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Texans, since they traded DeAndre Hopkins, they paid $3 million in dead cap space, and then they signed Laremy Tunsil to that monster deal. And
the biggest deal in NFL history for a lineman.
And they also signed Randall Cobb for a 2-year, $17 million deal.
Great signing.
They're now over the salary cap and cannot get Antonio Brown.
Of course they can't.
And they can't move anybody either because no one. Doctors gave Brandon Cooks $8 million. I'm not liking the moves.
No, if you didn't tell me what the Texans' cap situation was, I would have guessed it was exactly like you just announced it. Kind of all over the place. You're like, why are we paying all these guys this money? Oh, we have to pay all these players who aren't even on the roster money. That's exactly what I would figure a Bill O'Brien-led team would look like on the books. So, last piece of NFL here before we go ahead and move on to the NBA. The Hall of Fame was canceled. I guess they're going to push it back for next year. They're also going to not induct anybody into the Hall of Fame. They're going to push that back for next year. What are your thoughts on that?
I understand why they did it because of the coronavirus stuff, obviously. But what makes sense to me is they still haven't played his report on Wednesday, June or July 1st. And what are they going to be doing in training camp? Not going to take each other out at all? So I don't know what they're trying to prevent by canceling the game that's happening in over a month from now, but still having to play his report tomorrow.
I think this is a total Roger Goodell inside job. You ready?
Yeah.
Roger Goodell, if there's going to be a time for the coronavirus to strike the NFL, it has to be in the middle of the season so they basically can say, hey, we can't shut things down now. We're already rolling. If they go ahead and go through with the Hall of Fame game, that's going to be the biggest gathering prior to week 1 of the NFL season, right? Yeah. So if NFL week 1 comes out, and then, if stuff starts to go array, then Roger Goodell can step in and say, listen, we're basically going to, we just basically have to push through at this point. The NFL season's already started. But if you do it 4 weeks prior to week 1, guess what? All that revenue is going to be lost because they'll be able to shut it down a whole lot easier than what they were going to do if the season had already started.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know. I guess it's fine that they did it, but it doesn't make any sense through the timing.
No, I think the timing's really weird to just kind of come out and just say, hey, we're just going to push everything back just another year whenever you're going to go ahead and go through with the season. But if I was a guessing man, which that's all we can be at this point, I think that they're just basically saying, hey, we can't have any large gatherings until week 1 of the NFL season, so let's just go ahead and hold everything off. Let's not do it until it's absolutely necessary that we have a bunch of people. Hey, if that gives me 1 NFL week for this season, I'll take it. At this point, I'll have to take it.
I mean, it is what it is. And not looking good for us, but you know what? Fingers crossed still.
Yeah, hopes. Absolutely. Big time high hopes. Do you think the NFL has a season?
Honestly, no.
Oh, they have to.
I don't think we get any seasons.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not looking good. So we'll go ahead and talk about the NBA here. So the NBA, they came out this week and said that everybody needs to be reported in saying whether or not they're going to be playing by June. I believe it was June 26th. And a lot of players have actually came out that are on teams who have a chance to make a run at this thing. A lot of players are saying that they're just not going to be there. Most notably, probably Avery Bradley. Obviously, he's on the Los Angeles Lakers. Started a lot of games for them. He said he's not going to be playing. Trevor Ariza, Portland Trailblazers. He said he's not going to be playing. And then you have Willie Cauley-Stein, Wilson Chandler, and Dwight Howard. Still, I don't know how he's uncertain because I thought that the deadline was the 26th, but even today, as of 13 hours ago, he is still uncertain if he is going to be reported.
It's NBA, it's NBA.
Yeah.
Major player of this league, they'll let him out the day before if they want to play.
Yeah, no, if he's cleared and he decides the day of his first game that he wants to play, he will be out there playing. Thoughts, though, if Avery Bradley does not play in this thing, which it says he's not, does this change your thoughts about the Lakers winning a championship?
Honestly, dude, with the way they're starting up, everything is so uncertain that it's just nothing is for sure anymore. I don't know. The big question is how the players are going to play together as they're not passing for so long. Giannis Antetokounmpo, when he all started, didn't have access to a basket. So how many people have access to baskets? It is so hard to know. Because of that, I'm not going to take it on that much. Barry Bradley is a very talented player. They can do a whole lot of things for that team that they're going to need down the stretch in the playoffs. And I don't have that. So it does take a hit, but I don't get that major of a hit.
Right. I think with Avery Bradley, if there's one guy that's in that starting rotation that you could see not playing and this team still being okay, that would probably be it. Avery Bradley is a very good player, though, and it definitely takes a hit for the Lakers if he's not out there. But really, they have Danny Green. They have guys that they can fill the void with. They came out and said that they wanted to sign J.R. Smith. Apparently, they can only sign players that weren't playing for overseas teams, like teams that were still players that were still free agents this last year. They've came out and they said that they're thinking about signing J.R. Smith. He's the top guy for this. Basically, the only two guards out there that you can sign right now would be like a J.R. Smith or a Jamal Crawford. I have no idea why you would just say J.R. Smith's going to be our guy over Jamal Crawford.
Because of LeBron James.
That makes no sense.
LeBron James likes J.R. Smith?
I have no idea why he likes J.R. Smith. Did you know? I mean, all you have to watch is the 2 seconds where he gets the rebound and dribbles it out.
Oh my gosh, I didn't figure out that even happened. Yeah.
I mean, that's what J.R. Smith's going to be known for the rest of his life.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't get it. Players, like the NBA has a players league. Like LeBron James isn't running the Lakers, but he has a lot of influence in the Lakers. And they're bringing in J.R. Smith just because LeBron's guy.
Yes.
And like last year, we talked about LeBron James, getting kind of off topic now. He, quote, called in a favor from James Jones, GM of the Suns, to get Tyson Chandler bought out. Like, so, J.R. Smith.
What was that?
It's due to dropping stuff. Sorry, Dippers.
Yeah, that was very, very loud.
Sorry for you.
I'm sorry about that. It scared me.
But yeah,
hopefully you're not listening on like AirPods or anything. 'Cause
yeah,
that'll blow your ears off.
Yeah, sorry, you definitely missed the basketball shot. You're shooting hoops right now.
Yeah, that was not good.
But no, do not like J.R. Smith signing.
No, the J.R. Smith signing just doesn't make any sense. It seems like you're just treading water. Just go a man down. Because if J.R. Smith's on your team, then he's going to be obligated to be out there because he's LeBron's friend. And that just, I feel like that's not good. I feel like every single Portland Trailblazer has tried to find a way to say, like, hey, we're not going to come. And I partially feel like it's because they're out of the playoffs at this point. Because so many players on that team are like, man, I don't know if that's a good idea. But also Dwight Howard. If Dwight Howard's not out there with Avery Bradley, I feel like LeBron James and the Lakers don't really have a shot to go man for man against the Clippers. I mean, if you don't have Dwight and Avery Bradley, yes, they're not the best players on the team, but, they're rotational guys that have to be out there logging you a good 20 to 25 minutes. And if you don't have that, especially out of a big and a guard, you are going to be in trouble. Yeah,
like they did a thing like Avery Bradley, like very talented player, but he did things like defense.
Yes.
And like mainly defense and shooting threes. It's a very important thing at working in the NBA right now, and you're not going to have that.
Yeah, I think I saw actually a stat of guards that were under like 6'5", that who has the lowest shooting percentage against them. I think Avery Bradley was number 1 in the NBA.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, so then they have that, Dwight Howard, get rebounds, and play stuff defense. Like, another thing is people don't like doing, but he does.
Yeah.
And you might not have that either.
No. I think it's not a good look for the Lakers, if both of those guys don't play. I think it basically kills their hopes of being able to go toe-to-toe with the Clippers. I actually have a theory, by the way. What team's going to win the championship?
What team?
The Rockets.
Why?
What happens every single year in the playoffs? We say, man, James Harden looks tired.
Yeah. He doesn't look tired anymore.
Dude, he's had a month and a half to rest. And we always say, man, this style of basketball, we think it would work, but what happens? These guys get tired. These guys get dogged down. Even Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook does not play his best games in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You can argue that, yes, people do play tougher defense, and he's not able to just get the ball and take off sprinting at the basket. But you could also make the argument that, hey, every single year, he's pounding the ball into the dirt 500 times a game, and he's tired. He plays every single game. These guys who don't necessarily do the load management, what are they getting right now? Load management at the best. I honestly think that if this NBA season comes back, I think it'd be a smart bet to go ahead and just lay a little bit on the Rockets, because every year it just, either Chris Paul gets hurt or the Rockets just get tired because they're running up and down every single game for 82 games. Mm-hmm. I honestly think that there is an outside chance that the Rockets are able to win this thing if everything comes back.
I mean, I don't hate it, but like I said, it's like, how in shape are all the Rocket players right now? Because we just don't know.
No.
Like, this is the most uncertain times ever for a lot of reasons, and one of them definitely is, how in shape all the NBA players are going to come back and play in literally 33 days.
No, I absolutely agree. And honestly, I know it's not the same sport, but even in the MMA world, like, you watch a sport that, yes, they're probably getting limited training in, and these guys are going out there competing, you are seeing fatigue be a very big problem for more fighters than what you would expect, even if they're just fighting 3-round fights. So I do think that, the in-shape factor, just physical fitness, will be a large portion of who's going to win this. But if there's one guy in the NBA that I could look at and say, yeah, that guy definitely has a court at his house full size, James Harden has to be that guy.
Yes.
I mean,
he has one.
Oh, he definitely has one.
I don't know.
Him and Russell Westbrook 100% have a court at their house.
Yeah, definitely. They get paid enough for it.
Yeah. So I think it's a smart outside bet. Just going off of what I know historically, Rockets get tired. Rockets haven't had to do anything in like 2 months, and they're usually one of the best teams whenever they're just going head to head, everybody healthy. So I think there's an outside chance there. All right, Leighton C. So we're going to get back to the NFL here. We have a funny list. Last week we brought in a list, so we thought we would go ahead and bring another one in for today because that did work so well. I have a list from Colin Cowherd. We love to pile on Colin Cowherd. He made a list. He got so bored he made a list of the most catchable balls thrown in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Top 5 quarterbacks. Number 1, he has Russell Wilson.
Yep. Russell Wilson, top 10 passing yards, top 5, I think, in completion percentage. Made it number 1, but you know what? Top 5 is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and cut the hairs on the numbers in this, probably, because, Drew Brees and Russell Wilson both have very good completion percentages, both throw for a lot of yards. They're there.
I think the one gripe I have is that if there's one thing that I can say, who throws the most balls that are catchable in the NFL, it is heads and shoulders Drew Brees. Drew Brees has the highest completion percentage in NFL history with a 69% is the highest percentage in NFL history. He has that. If you look at over the last 3 years, he's been completing 73% of his passes. So to say that a quarterback who drops back to pass every fourth time that he drops back to pass, that's when the incompletion happens, not every third like the majority of quarterbacks. You have to say that guy has the most catchable ball in the NFL. I think this was a layup. Colin got it wrong. But like we said, Russ deserves to be up there, so we won't split hairs on that. Number 2, we have Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Okay, so arm's not there anymore. We know that.
No.
But he was 6th in pass interception percentage. That was very good. Threw a lot of passes still, but I haven't given on. Good completion percentage. Sure. 60% complete percentage, not great. Not even one anymore. I don't know if I put him in my top 5. He'd be right around, just outside maybe 6 or 7, but I'm not going to deal with that one.
Yeah, 5 years ago, I would have bought it, number 2. Right next to Drew Brees, because I feel like the top 2 in this list hasn't changed in the last 5 years. We've seen 1 year of, basically bad Tom, where it's 60% completion percentage just last year. So if you go off the what have you done for me lately, I feel like you can't have him in your top 5. But being who he is, you have to go ahead and just give him the benefit of the doubt going into this year, because that's what he's doing. He's trying to project. And I don't necessarily buy it, but hey, it's Tom Brady. I'll let him off the hook on that one. Number 3 is Drew Brees. I think he should be number 1. Yeah. Heads and shoulders going away. The numbers say he should be 1, but he's at number 3. Number 4, I think, was the second funniest one that was on this list.
This really gets good.
Kyler Murray with his 1 season of 64% of his passes.
Yeah. So now up until this point, I look at this list as their career. But now I'm like, wait, it's Kyler Murray. He has to be looking at this. What he's done for me lately.
Yes.
Kyler Murray is not in the top 10 in any passing statistics. 64% completions, and he gets sacked a lot. I'm trying to find his interception percentage. Kyler Murray is 20th. Tied for 20th. Okay.
So, he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, but a lot of interceptions are just good balls that happen to get intercepted.
Right.
So I don't necessarily look at interceptions. I honestly think this is kind of where I might lose you here. I think that if you throw more interceptions, you throw a more catchable ball.
So, yes,
because you're not talking about accuracy.
Yes.
You're just talking about how easy it is to catch it. Jameis Winston threw 60 total touchdowns and interceptions last year, and that's not catchable balls?
That's true. And Aaron Rodgers had 0.7, and he threw a lot of balls away. They're incatchable balls.
Oh, throws way incatchable balls.
He never throws a ball that's not on target.
It's either on target or it's a throwaway.
That's a really solid point. I'm just going to throw out the entire interception percentage part here.
No, I think interception percentage.
I just throw it out. I didn't even consider I didn't even think about Aaron Rodgers throwing 0.7% of the balls out of bounds. Yeah. I didn't consider the ball being thrown out.
Those are uncatchable. Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think whenever you look at the interceptions, whenever you talk about who throws a catchable ball, if you throw quite a few interceptions, the ball is still catchable. Mm-hmm. The thing with Michael Vick, he was very inaccurate back in the day. But, he was fun. He was, he didn't have a ton of turnovers, which didn't kill him. They've said a reason why they thought his interceptions, a lot of his interceptions just went dropped because he was A, left-handed, and defenders weren't used to catching a ball from a left-handed quarterback, mm-hmm. and B, he threw the ball so hard that those guys weren't used to trying to go up and catch a ball like that. Like, you don't have somebody to replicate drills where you're basically just throwing the ball as hard as you can over and over and over with the defender trying to catch it. So I don't think the interceptions count, like, necessarily hurt you here, but Kyler Murray at 4 is absolutely insane. None of the numbers say that he should be anywhere close on this list. You know, you can argue number 5. I could believe you whenever you say, hey, this guy should be on here. But Kyler Murray at 4, that's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, no, that's second worst pick of the list.
No, the worst pick of the list, Jared Goff. Thoughts?
Why? I wish I heard this segment. I want to hear why, because he threw the most passes last season and 64% completion percentage, but that doesn't mean he had more catchable balls.
No.
Like,
how many times did we see Brandon Cooks running down the field wide open and him miss him?
all the time.
He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL over 15 yards.
Jared Goff was third in attempts per game and third in completions per game, but he's not in top completion percentage.
No, his completions percentage is even close.
He's thrown a ton of balls.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It shouldn't be about repetition, where this list is not about repetition, because if you look at number 1, Russell Wilson throws the ball less times in games than almost any other quarterback in the NFL. He's number 1. Mm-hmm. But then you have a guy who throws a ton of volume, doesn't complete a ton of passes, and he's overthrowing guys, underthrowing guys, just doesn't look that great. And, 2 years ago, whenever he looked like he was potentially an NFL MVP candidate, I would have bought that. But sitting here right now, after 2 bad years of Jared Goff, there is no way that you could sell me on Jared Goff having one of the more catchable passes in the NFL.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And then it just leaves off Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
The best quarterback in the NFL right now.
And how many times have you seen him overthrow Tyreek Hill, underthrow Tyreek Hill, or throw a ball that Travis Kelce couldn't catch? Never.
It's right in the bit basket every time.
Every single time.
Like, he's running backwards, throw over his shoulder is perfect. Like, it makes no sense, and he's not on the list.
Yeah.
Maybe he's close, I don't know, but if I had to pick one player to throw a catch over a ball, it'd be Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
the 2 guys that lead the most 2 high-powered offenses in the NFL.
Like, they never throw bad balls.
And they don't throw the ball too hard. They don't throw ducks. Like, I don't understand how you could put this list together. And even honestly, I would say even Big Ben would be up on this list if I was thinking the 5 most catchable balls in the NFL, guys who consistently throw good passes. And yes, Big Ben does throw a bunch of interceptions, but that just leads to the fact that the ball is very, very catchable.
Yeah.
Colin Cowherd, man. I don't understand any of his lists. Biggest miss, though, outside of Patrick Mahomes, because I think that was the easiest miss.
Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott's kind of up there.
I agree. I don't think that he's that great of a quarterback, but whenever you look at the balls that are catchable, I think Dak Prescott should be flirting with this list. He's like 4th or 5th all-time in completion percentage in NFL history.
Yeah, and if we're going off just last season, Ryan Tannehill is definitely one of the guys who has to be right up in the top 5 too.
No, I absolutely agree. This list was absolutely terrible. I think I would have only had 2 of his picks on the top 5, and his numbers were completely off here. Dippers, I said we would call Mr. Shackelford, check in on him, and see how he is doing combating the coronavirus. So I warned him of the call, and now we wait.
Hello, fellas.
Hello, Mr. Shackelford. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
So we have you on the speaker right now. We actually talked just a little bit ago about how we think that you have actually purposely infected yourself with the coronavirus.
I've ran it through my head, man. I've gone from fringe here, AIDS, Corona. I'm like everyone else. I'm not on WebMD, but I'm just going through all the terrible shit in my head.
Yeah, hopefully it's none of the above. Hopefully, it's just something simple, maybe like a common cold, which everybody gets right in the middle of June, July.
I mean, this is legitimately, this is the worst I've felt since the great pants shitting of like 2 years ago. Since then, since that time I pooped my pants, I haven't been sick. That was like 2 years ago. If you count man trip, the brown bottle flu hit me pretty hard one day. I just don't get sick very often.
So I actually had a theory here. We think that you did not want to miss Fight Island, so you had purposely ingested coronavirus sometime in the middle of last week so your quarantine would be up right before July 11th.
You know, that's a good theory, but I'd rather just pretend like I had it.
Just pretend that you have it?
And just pretend.
Just get a couple weeks off work, just get to kick your feet up a little bit, and then you'll be firing on all cylinders right before the fights kick off on July 11th.
For sure. Which I'm actually going to be on the beach during the first Fight Island.
So you're going to be watching
at the island?
at the island?
I didn't want to tell you guys that, but yeah, I got my own ticket to Abu Dhabi. I'm going to be there from the beach. I'll be there.
Okay, so this is actually playing way more into my thoughts now. I have you penciled in to fly into Abu Dhabi about Thursday, and then you will give up your blood so then the fighters can have antibodies.
That's right.
That's a very smart move. So, Mr. Shackelford, I figured I would ask you about the picks last weekend. Not necessarily your best week.
2 and 5, maybe my worst.
Yeah, and we did miss two decisions that were absolutely razor thin. The two fights that I wanted to talk to you about, because I know that you have a limit because you're not feeling that good. First fight, Mike Perry. Only person he needs in his corner is his girlfriend. Apparently that works out.
He won?
Yes, he did win.
I was going to take real hard.
Yes, maybe the worst fight I've ever watched, but it was entertaining to say the least.
Mickey Gall outstruck him. The first round, Mickey Gall's winning. He's outstriking him, looking good. Then Mike Perry gets a takedown and looks like he's Marcelo Garcia on my back. All of a sudden, Mickey Gall can't grapple. Second round, more of the same, and then Perry unloads some big shots. I think again, basically the tale of the fight is Mickey Gall gasses out and doesn't realize that he's a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yeah, no, if you watch that fight, you'd have never guessed that either one of those guys had a black belt in basically anything other than just like hillbilly one-punch KO. Because if I had to guess how that fight was going to go, I would have thought either A, Mickey Gall's going to get this to the ground and submit Mike Perry, or B, Mike Perry's just going to stand up and just knock him into a completely different dimension. Neither one of those happened. Mike Perry ends up becoming unbelievably good on the ground. Mickey Gall gets good on his feet, and then we basically have an exact opposite fight of what I was anticipating.
Yeah, I mean the highlight of the fight was the girlfriend thing. The girlfriend's in his corner, ice in his neck, looking good, and you know what? I'll say the real highlight was Mike Perry's post-fight thing, where he's bringing up the corruption of the United States tax services.
Yes.
Which, if you haven't seen that, you'll laugh your ass off. Perry, basically at the end of it, Perry says, he says, you know what? I don't want to get paid more. I just want to, if you give me a contract. I want you to pay the taxes up front, which I don't know if he knows this, but I don't think that's how it works in any line of work. But,
no, they could pay the taxes up front, and then I think once Mike Perry gets that money, he still has to pay more taxes.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He doesn't want that. So, and you know what? Like Eddie Alvarez, Ben Askren, all these guys started posting all these things. And a lot of it I didn't realize. I guess Alvarez was given like step-by-step instructions for young fighters to save their money. He's like, set up your own LLC, so that way you can write stuff off as expensive. It was pretty cool to see, because a lot of these guys are having money troubles. And Mike Perry may be the poster child for what's that big baller song with Campaign? My rap, 'cause I'm still fly. You remember that song?
Oh, yeah. No, that was it.
So Mike Perry has famously, over the last couple of years, said that he's just broke. I mean, he doesn't have any money. So for him to come out and be like, look, I don't want to pay taxes anymore. He It's hilarious.
Oh, it's absolutely awesome. Mike Perry did get a lot of love from other gyms. I saw every time I get on Twitter, there's basically a new lead dog from one of these like top 10 gyms in the world saying, "Come on over, we'll train you."
You know, it's pretty cool. I guess I don't know what exactly is going on from. He's from Florida, so if you think about that, you've got ATT, you've got the Black Zillions. He was at probably the third most known camp, that Fusion XL, which has John Gray and some other guys. He's went to Jackson League. I know sometimes it's hard for these guys to find a fit. I think he will particularly be a guy that's even harder to find a fit. Probably the best guy I saw send a shout out to him was Den Thomas. I think that would be a pretty cool matchup because Den Thomas is a really great coach. He's been a fighter. He's been really good. You know, there's no doubt about it. Mike Perry can fight, man. He's a good fighter. He's a great personality. The opportunity for him to make a shitload of money in this small, the small window that you can make it is good. It's there. I just hate, if that's anybody but Mickey Gall in there this weekend, I think we're having a totally different discussion about Mike Perry.
No, I absolutely agree. I was happy that he got the win. Mickey Gall obviously didn't deserve it.
Mickey Gall's got my cardio, man.
No.
I mean, probably worse than my cardio. I don't know what he's doing either.
No, it's absolutely terrible. One thing that I had to point out, Mike Perry's right hand, did it not look like he was just basically like hitting soft mitts? Like I fully believe that the only person that had trained him over the last month was his girlfriend. Because
I was going to say, did you see those videos? Did you see the videos of him hitting mitts with her?
whenever he threw that right hand in the fight, it looked like he was just hitting the mitts that he had been hitting just in the back cage or in the back room, because the right hand that Mike Perry typically throws does not look like the Mike Perry right hand that I saw on Saturday.
No, he was not throwing his big power. It wasn't connected. I mean, think of some of the guys that he's been in there. He fought Vincente Luque. He fought Ponzinibbio. He turned Ponzinibbio into a wrestler with that right hand. He skimmed out of this one by the hair of his chinny chin. He needs to get his shit together before the next one.
No, I absolutely agree. I hope he gets into a camp and actually gets a chance here. Next up, we have, obviously, Poirier ends up beating Dan Hooker in maybe the best fight I've ever watched. Basically back and forth the whole time. But you could tell who won each round. So I think it was a fair decision. Basically, Dan Hooker kind of just ran out of gas there at the end. He was throwing bombs all fight. Did you agree with the decision? And ultimately, what did you think about that fight?
Great fight. I mean, easily one of the top five. Just running through some of the best fights of the year. I think that Weili Zhang Joanna is probably still my favorite of the year. Then you got, you got Emmett Burgos, you got Gaethje, Tony in there. It's up there with all those. If there's 2 more seconds in round 2, we're looking at a Dan Hooker finish.
Yes.
I thought he won rounds 1. I thought he won round 2. And then round 3 is when he really went into wrestling heavy, and I thought he was even winning that round, but I think at some point in that round, I don't know if he just lost his discipline or kind of forgot about the game plan or maybe got a little tired, but that's the round that really turned the tables for Poirier. And next thing you know, Poirier is just landing on him a lot more than he's landing on Poirier. So I did think Poirier, especially at the end, man, you can't. I don't know if you watched all the way to the post fight, but after the fight was over, Dan Hooker laid down. And he could barely get up, and Dustin was kind of jawing at him a little bit, so he drug himself up to give him a little bro hug type thing. But I mean, that was a Poirier win. Yeah,
no, I absolutely agree there. 2 good fights. I thought we were going to be able to get that backdoor dog there on both of them. Ultimately did not happen. So all this did, remember the last time that you had a sub 500 winning percentage on a weekend?
Didn't we go, we went a whole card, didn't we?
5-0.
Yeah.
5-0.
You know, and here's the thing. We're dealing. I've messed around with that FanDuel. This thing. These are such wacky times. We had. I don't know if you saw this, but that little. I think her name's Kayla Henson.
Yes.
The 15. Did you see some dude bet $37,000 on her?
No, he had an insider. He had to have.
Well, she posted that she met him in the airport later. Like, she didn't know this guy.
No kidding.
I figured it was like her dad or something. Like, who puts $37,000 on a late notice replacement that's never fought in the UFC before?
You know,
A genius.
Yeah, a genius. That's exactly right.
Apparently, so he actually made more money betting on her than she did fighting.
That's what I was getting ready to ask. I didn't know what she made, but I was almost positive that whatever she made, he probably made more that night.
Yeah, he made damn near double. I think he ended up winning like 20 grand on the bet or something. Like, he ended up walking away with like 57,000 or something.
Wow.
It's just weird, man. You know, the Bob Ross fight, that guy was a late night, or that wasn't a late one, but Bob Ross was winning that whole fight. Third round.
See, I disagreed with that. I thought Kama Worthy was actually winning the first round.
You thought he won? I don't think he ever actually hit Bob Ross.
Man, he just looked like he was working hard. I love Kama Worthy.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you're looking at. Bob Ross was definitely doing hit without being hit. He wasn't making anything big, but I felt like he was just picking away. I would have had him ahead. I think the judges had him ahead. It's caught in a guillotine, loses. Sean Woodson, he's another St. Louis guy. 4-inch reach advantage, height advantage, UFC advantage, experience-wise, winning all 3 rounds, gets caught in a standing Garce choke, choked out. Lost that one. The Bozer-Lenz fight, you know, Lenz has shown that he's knocked people out with one punch. Some very high competition. Bozer hasn't shown that. Guess what happens? 40 seconds in, Bozer with his bullet drops Lenz somehow.
I think Bozer's going to be a fan favorite.
Oh man, he looked good. You know what else I noticed about him? His body. He looked like he lost 20 pounds. His body looked way better than the last 2 times I've seen him fight.
Yeah, no, he definitely looked good. I was actually if there was one guy that I say that, like, I think the stock got rose on this weekend, obviously, you know, you have your Poirier, you have Mike Perry overcoming what he had to overcome. I thought that he was one of the biggest winners of the weekend because not only does he have this, you know, he looks like a heavyweight that's in the UFC, he's got a mullet, he hits hard, he checks a lot of boxes that the UFC has to have in that heavyweight division, very similar to like whenever Roy Nelson was there. Like, you have to have that hillbilly clubber in the division to bring eyes to the division.
Oh, for sure. The only thing he's missing is he's from Canada, so... But at this point, you know, you get him some Labatt Blue sponsorships, maybe throw a hockey jersey on him, and we're back in, you know...
No.
He's just as popular.
Everybody's back in. The American people now have a new Canadian favorite that's not named GSP.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Shackelford, next time we talk to you, hopefully you'll be alive and well. Hopefully your test does come back positive like you wanted, and we will talk to you again soon.
Hey, real quick, how big is OC's smile that Cam Newton's on his team now?
He was very happy. He does like Cam. We've backed him into a corner. We've assumed his favorite NFL team is the Patriots. So, yeah, he has to be happy at this point. He actually smiled when you said that.
What's the divisions? Is Tampa Bay in the same... Can we have a Tampa Bay versus Patriots Super Bowl?
We can have a Tampa Bay versus the Patriots Super Bowl. That is correct.
I want to know right now who's LC taking. Tom Brady or Cam and Tom and Gronk or Cam and Bill.
You just said it right there. It was Tom and Gronk. Once you threw Gronk in there, latency was hooked.
I one time saw Tom Brady come back from 20-3 in Super Bowl, and one time I saw Cam Newton not die for a ball. So, Buccaneers.
He's going with the Buccaneers.
He's going Bucks, baby. He sold them out. He sold them out quick.
Oh yeah, no, it's easy to do though. Whenever you have Gronk flopping teams too, so.
He does do that a lot. Well, not really a lot, but that kind of time it.
All right, Mr. Shackelford. So we will talk to you again next weekend. Okay.
All right, peace out, guys.
All right. So he sounded good.
He sounded fine.
He sounded better.
Trying to be back next week.
Yeah. No. Whenever I talked to him earlier, he must have been just after a post nap because earlier I legitimately thought I was going to go have to scrape him up and bring him back to life. He sounded rough. LC. Anything else that we need to talk about? Have you been watching any good movies, watching any good television? I started Parks and Rec yesterday. Absolutely hilarious.
I've heard good thing about Parks and Rec.
Have you ever watched it?
Here and there. Not like a serious, watch the whole show, but I've watched a few episodes.
So, okay. The main girl in Parks and Rec is one of the funniest people I have ever watched. So, she has that, you know how, whenever... I hate to say that her character is Kenny Powers-esque because it doesn't have the overbearing I'm the champion, I'm the winner. She doesn't have that, but she has all of the goofy, dumb stuff where he just assumes just ridiculous things, and she goes out with him. And it's it is so funny to watch, and her character is one of the funniest characters I've ever watched. I had only seen memes of Ron Swanson and everybody talking about how great Ron Swanson is. I'm only 4 episodes in. I cannot remember her name. She is the main character in Parks and Rec. One of the greatest characters I've ever watched.
Really?
Yes, 4 episodes in.
Okay, I have to watch that. Check that out then. I'm not watching Breako yet. Still moving. Ain't chance to do it. But last night I laid down to go to slumber. Before I watched my favorite show, Inside My Eyelids, I watched a new show on Netflix called Home Game.
Home Game.
It's about major sports in other countries that aren't
You watched that last night too?
The first episode of it. Did you watch it? Did you watch Calco Storico?
Dude,
that shit was wild.
I was hoping that you were gonna, dude. I was whenever I came in today, I was like, man, I pray that Leighton's watched this before because I'm gonna blow his mind.
I watched the first episode of it last night.
What time did you watch that?
Oh, crap, I don't know, 11:30ish.
Dude, we were watching it at the same time. We had to have been. I was laying down at 11 o'clock. I kicked that thing on. I was hooked. I
see the start and I saw him in football. Then I saw finally, whoa, what the hell is going on here? Dude,
I think this was my sport.
Haymakers.
This was my sport.
That's your sport.
Dude, because you have to have hand-eye coordination and you have to be a little crazy and a little tough. I feel like I check all those boxes. I'm not a good enough athlete to where if you throw me out there and it's just a ball sport that I can hang. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have the hand-eye coordination, I have everything, but I just don't have the the quickness, all the athleticism that takes to be good at a ball sport, football, baseball, all that stuff. But that one I think I can get behind.
Yeah. So basically, the show is all about the other country. For more examples,
Dude, this
what
blows
they have,
my mind that you watched this the same time I did.
The other episodes that have Highland Games, free diving, roller derby, cock-boroo, catch, some foreign word, fetishi, and make
Fetish.
pung lamb pit. Don't know what the last 3 are. I know what the other ones are. Free diving, Highland Games, and roller derby. So I like the show. Interesting as fuck. But this game right here.
This is the best game of all time.
I have looked up. So we have a show called Darts. And we have a game on it called Is It a Sport? I have Googled obscure sports hundreds of times. Never once found this. But for 500 years.
There's 3 games that happen a year. That's why we haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, I'm like, dude, how have I never seen this before? And you just have, it's basically rugby with street fighting.
Yes, the actual description is rugby meets mixed martial arts.
Dude, this is the perfect game ever. Mr. Shackelford would have been a 4-time All-Olympia at this sport. Dude, he has the perfect build for this thing.
My favorite part of the game was how when you pick a team, that's it for life.
Oh yeah, you're set. You're in.
Red, blue, green, and yellow.
Red, blue, green, and white.
Green and white. Yeah, it's basically the full color. You pick one, it's your team forever. And there are guys on my dad's age when the guy was out there like, holy crap, they should have each other once a year for 2 games.
Yeah.
And they were throwing haymakers. They were punching each other hard.
Yes. Dude, did you see the score of that game?
I did not.
5.5 to 6. You saw that whenever they were like, oh, we lost on this last second heroic throw. 5.5 to 6. That's the perfect amount of scoring for a game that is that high level. Dude, I don't know how this is not a professional sport where everybody just loves it. Probably injuries.
Yes.
I think you have 27 people on a field at one time.
All wanted to fight each other except for one.
Did you see some of those? Like, somebody was standing there, like, watching the pile, and out of nowhere, somebody came running in and did a two-legged jump, like, drop kick. Did you see that?
I did not see that part.
Yes. So there was a pile up of, like, all these guys tackling this one guy. And there's a guy standing on the outside just, like, seeing if he can see the ball pop out anywhere. And then out of nowhere, somebody came running from, like, 40 yards away, jumped in the air, 2 feet, drop kick.
Like, I don't know why they had a guy in, like, a guillotine or hell or something on the ground. Like, what are you even doing?
Yeah, choking him out.
You're not in the game anymore.
No, they are.
They took them all out.
It's called control.
So, this my question is, how good would MMA fighters be at this sport? Like,
So
like
there's
the wrestlers, like, did it get anybody down? Like, a team of wrestlers, would they beat a team of BJJ or a team of...
That would be close just because they would just all be just running around grappling each other. But if you took, like, the best NFL players in the world and put them up against just, like, a bunch of, like, let's just take all of the Division One, we'll take all the Division One national champions, all the Division One runner-ups, and then just threw in some scragglers here and there, they would absolutely dominate the NFL guys. Because all they do is just take them down, and then one guy just runs and scores.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, my favorite part of the show, whenever they're telling you how it works, and it was like, in basketball you set screens. In football, you block. In cargo, you fight or box, whatever it was. And then they go like flappy guys hitting the shit out of each other. There's absolute freaking meatballs being thrown.
So there's a guy named Alexander Volkanovski. He fights at 145 in the UFC. He used to walk around at like 210 pounds. He was a rugby player, professional rugby player. He would be the greatest athlete at this sport of all time because A, he's the 145-pound UFC champion, so he can fight. And 2, he's a professional rugby player. This guy is missing out on billions and billions of dollars. He would be the LeBron James of this sport. He would be like the Michael Jordan of this sport. He would be the greatest athlete in this sport ever. The only bad thing is there's only 3 games, and they all happen in Florence.
That is true. But something made me realize how far we've come as the people, because think about it. In Revolutionary War, we would line up and shoot at each other. That's horrible strategy. Talked about it last week.
Yes.
Terrible strategy. 500 years ago, some guy said, hey, let's play a game where 25 guys fight, and we're going to with the ball in his hands.
Yes.
And like, yep, that's a sport. That's what we're going to do.
That's the sport. I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, dude, this is like the dream sport. Like, it is just craziness. I don't think that there's actually any rules other than you have to throw the ball at the net, and you score through the net, and you can actually lose points for not making it into the net. Did you catch that? You lose like a half a point every time that you throw the ball at the end zone and it doesn't go in.
I did hear that.
So it's just absolutely craziness. I think that I'm going to actually try to watch these games because I think this would actually be fun. You know, a lot of people talk about different sports. It's like, well, there's just not a lot going on. There's 27 people out there fighting each other. You can find one of the fights that you like to watch. This would be the best sport live. Because, hey, if nothing's really happening with the ball and they're just going back and forth, just watch a fight that's happening on the edge of the arena there.
Every once in a while, the stat comes out how much like actual actions in games in football and baseball are super low for how long the sport is. This one has to be number 1.
No, this is 50 minutes of nonstop action.
Like, because I don't know, did they go into that they would dive into the rules, or is it basically?
I think it was a 50-minute game where you just.
I did 50 minutes, and so did a ball be reset, or
they didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
They just told you that people fight and the ball's in the middle of the ring, and it's just craziness,
right? Like, I don't know. I wonder how you can get one of these games.
I want to watch one.
I think.
I want to watch one.
We're going to go to Florence. Florence is probably pretty cheap to get to right now.
Yeah, I don't. The problem with going to Florence would be getting back. But I think that we could at least get there and watch the game. So if it happens, if the game's in May, we may have to camp out a while.
Right. And, if I had to be stuck somewhere, Florence probably be not the worst place to be stuck. It'd be horrible. Can't speak the language at all. And the show, by the way, no one else does either.
No.
The narrator does, and then this does. Cause I watch him, and then my girlfriend goes, "Are you watching a foreign show?" I'm like,
so wait a second. They weren't speaking English?
No. I
watched it all the way off with the subtitles on.
I watch subtitles. Yes, so I watch subtitles on all the time, volume up or down, and they would talk, and she'd be like, "What the hell are you watching?" I'm like, "It's a show. Like, is it in a different language?" No, but this one is.
Yes,
because
kind
no
of.
one spoke
50-50.
English. Yeah.
No, I didn't even realize that they weren't even speaking it. I didn't even think that they would have been speaking a different language. I was just watching it with the volume all the way down, subtitles on, and it was a good watch for me.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, it's called Home Game.
Yeah, that's the name of the show.
Of the show.
Episode 1.
It comes off with a big bang.
Like, and I'm looking at the rest of the episodes. Not as excited I was to watch the rest, but you know what I'm going to still? Because these ones I can't pronounce have to have some wild stuff going on.
Yeah, I think this is one of those ones where, like, we know the next 3 shows, and then at the very, like, we know those sports.
Yeah.
So I think what they did was they started us off with the craziest one, gave us a few layups where it's like, okay, if there's going to be a stall, we need to put it right here because people will power through it to get to whatever these other ones are, and then these are the craziest ones.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'm all on board for it. Home Game, got to check it out. We actually need to make Mr. Shackelford watch it while he's laid up for his 2-week-long quarantine because I think Mr. Shackelford will start training for that sport the day that he watches it.
I think he will too.
The comeback will be real.
Actually, I think he already had the antibodies in him. He'll just go with the fullness now and
he'll be able to go there and back, no problem.
No
just round trip flight, a couple days. He's got to stay there at least 9 days though for the semifinals and then the finals.
Well, that's 9 days too. That's so. I don't know what
it has to be 9 days. Did you see how badly beaten those guys were?
Yeah, but you figure it'd be 7 days just.
Yeah,
like, this Saturday, next day. Kind of the fucking college football shit.
I think
Saturday, then the next Monday.
This is one of those things where it's happened for 500 years, where like the first 100 years, they were like, why are we doing this on a Thursday? Because prior to this happening, basically, you worked every single day. You didn't really have a job. Like, you had a job, but you didn't have work hours. Like, you were your own boss no matter what you're doing because your goal in life is survival. So now we've come up to where, traditionally they might have played it on a Thursday and then played it again on a Saturday. Thursday, Saturday, no difference. Now, 2020 America, 2020 basically everywhere, you have your weekends. The weekends didn't hit the same. So that's why I think that the 9-day delay was there. Now they're just going with it because, hey, if you go 500 years with beating somebody's head in, you're going to have to keep doing the same thing.
It would be so cool. Because, like, I wonder how they even pick the teams.
It's where you're born.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one thing that cleared up for me. So I wonder how hard that area celebrates if the color wins.
Oh, I think it's like a year-round thing because if you noticed in the documentary, that one guy was, like, getting interviewed, and then there was just, like, a random guy who's like, hey, you're on our team. And started talking to them.
Okay.
So I think they're like national heroes, basically. Because there's no other reason you would do this for no pay. Did you catch that too? None of the athletes are paid.
I guess that, but I guess that makes sense. So if that other job, I guess, man, this is just a wild thing.
You know what the winner gets? Did you catch that?
I did. I heard. I can't remember what it was.
A cow.
It was a cow, yeah.
The winner gets a cow.
And they eat it with the fans and the team. Yep.
They eat the cow, but I think the cow's more just symbolic at this point, and it's like a traveling cow. So basically, they got Bevo to be their mascot, and they just lug him around for 9 days. So awesome documentary. Got to check it out. Crazier sport. I don't think I've ever seen a sport crazier than that. So anything else before we wrap this show up and wish Mr. Shackelford good healing time here?
Just that, kind of a tough thing I've heard. Sucks that he gave it to himself, but timing is everything. Mm-hmm. And once again, Thomas picked the perfect timing to do this. So
absolutely. And
how's the recovery, buddy?
And on that note, prayers up for Mr. Shackelford and for Leighton C. and Drake. Dippers, as always, stay saucy.